Hi, this is Anne with Graphic Design How To, and today I'm going to show you how to make business cards with information from a spreadsheet using Adobe InDesign, and this is called Data Merge. Then I'll show you two different ways to export. One is the standard way you would want to do it if you're sending it to a printing company, and then the other way is if you're printing it yourself and you want multiple business cards per sheet. All right, let's get started. Okay, so with this way of creating business cards, you need to have just one business card created like this. And you will also need a Google Sheet or Excel document with all the information that will change on the business cards. I'm going to use Google Sheets because everyone has access to that for free with a Gmail account, and that is also free if you want to set one up. So first, let's look at the InDesign document and how that should be set up. Okay, if I hit Option-Command-P or Alt-Control-P, that's the same as going to File Document Setup down here. You can see how I've set this up. I've got one page, no facing pages, and then the width is 3.5 inches by 2. That's a standard US business card. The margins don't really matter, but I do have some things going off the edge of my page. I've got this color and this color going off the edge. So in that case, I'll need bleeds. And the standard bleed size is 0.125 inches or 1/8 of an inch or 3 millimeters. And when you have bleeds, you need to put them all the way around. So that's why I've got top, bottom, left, and right all at the same 0.125 inches. We'll say OK. And I'll hit W to see the preview of what my business card is going to look like after it's cut. Now, I don't know if you can see the little red bleed line, but you need to make sure anything that goes off the edge goes all the way out to that bleed line. Another thing, all of your text boxes need to be long enough for the longest name or email or whatever. I have everything here in 2 text boxes, but you don't have to do it that way. You can have just one total, or you can even do just one text box for each line. Now, you'll want to put everything on a master page. So I've got my Pages panel open here, and if you don't see that, it's under Window, Pages right here. I'm going to select everything on my business card, and I'll Command X or Control X to cut it. Then I'll double-click the A Parent page up here, and I'll paste in place with Edit, Paste in Place. When you do that, all that information will kind of jump back onto page 1, and that's normal behavior. Now, if you're double-clicked on page 1, you won't be able to click anything. That is the way it should be. Okay, so our InDesign file is set up and ready to go. Now we'll head over to the spreadsheet. In the spreadsheet, you'll want a title row, and that will be row 1. InDesign knows to pull in whatever's on row 1 as a title. So I've got name, email, and phone here. And then everything from row 2 down will be the actual names, emails, and phone numbers. So all of this is filled out. I'll go to File, Download, and comma-separated values. In Excel, it might be something like File Export and CSV or something like that. And when I do that, it'll go into my Downloads folder, but I've just moved it here into my folder. Now, best case scenario is you would name this something that makes sense, but this is just a tutorial. So I'm going to leave it as is. Next, we'll go to Window, Utilities, and Data Merge. I'll click the little flyout up here and choose Select Data Source. And this will be that spreadsheet CSV file that we just downloaded. I'll open that. And now you can see everything that's populating from row 1, which is the name, email, and phone. Now, make sure you're on A Parent, so double-click A Parent to jump onto the master page. I'll hit T to get on my text tool, and I'm just going to highlight the name and choose Name in Data Merge. And it'll change to this weird format, and that is just fine. I'll choose the email, and then I'll click the email button. I'll select the phone number and click the phone button. And this line stays the same for all business cards, so I don't need to have it as part of the data merge. Next, I'll click Preview at the bottom of the Data Merge panel. And you can see that we've got Mason Carter with his email address and his phone number. You can also preview each of the records down here at the bottom by clicking these arrows. We've got Olivia Bennett, Ethan Holloway, and you can go through each one to make sure they're correct. If everything looks good, you can click this little button which will create a merged document. So I'll go ahead and do that. and this will bring up this dialog box. Okay, now at this point, this tutorial is going to merge off into two different directions. First is the standard format that printers will want. And if you want to do the multiple per page way, you can jump to this timestamp. First is the standard format that printers will want. You'll want to merge all records, single record per page, and then leave these two on. We'll click OK. And then we get this message that says no overset text was generated when merging records. If there is overset text, that means your text box was not big enough to hold the longest name, so some of it is getting cut off. If you do have overset text, it will tell you where it is. You can also go to the pre-flight panel and click on the page number there. We'll say OK. Now InDesign has made a new document with all the business cards. So I'm going to click on the first one. I'll hit W to preview, and then we can just kind of scroll through each one and make sure everything's good. So we have 19 cards and all are matching the spreadsheet. I'll hit Command E or Control E, or you can go to File Export. Make sure it says Adobe PDF for print at the bottom, and save. Next, we want Press Quality, and under Marks and Bleeds, choose Use Document Bleed Settings, and this will bring in that 0.125 from our original document setup. We also want crop marks, and I'll export. So here's the business card PDF with one per page. This is the normal file that you would send to a printer. And as you can see, it's got our crop marks and bleeds, and everything looks good. Now, if you're wanting to put a backside of this card, I would send just one page because it's probably going to be the same for every person. I would send that in a separate file that says back of business card or something like that, and let your printer know that that is the backside. Okay, now for the multiple per page way. Now there might be an easier way to do this. If you know of one, please let me know in the comments section because I would love to know. But in this way, we have to add our own crop marks. So right now we have everything on our A parent, so it's also on our first page. I'll hit M to get on my rectangle tool. I'm going to draw a box that's 3.5 by 2 inches, which is the full size of my page. Up here, if it doesn't say 3.5 by 2, you'll want to make it 3.5 by 2. We'll want to make sure the upper left is referenced, so click that dot, and then make sure it's at 0, 0. We don't need a stroke, so come up to Color and then just click this None button right here. Next, go to Window, Utilities, and Scripts, and then open Samples. Now, if you're on a Mac, you can use AppleScript, and I'll double-click on the crop marks one. I'll make sure my rectangle is still selected, and I'll choose crop marks only, and I'll uncheck registration marks and say OK. So now you can see them on here. If you're on a PC, I think you can use JavaScript. Here is the crop marks for that. Now we don't need that anymore. I'll select everything on the page, including those crop marks, and I'll copy. I need to make a new page that's 8.5 by 11, so I'll go to File, New, Document. I'll choose Print, Letter, and I'm just going to change this to inches. Now, when you're doing multiple up per page, the margins do matter, but we can adjust those later. I don't want facing pages, and I'll create. I'll double click on my parent page, and I'll paste. And I'll just put this right up here, kind of aligned to those margins. And then make sure to group it, which is Command G or Control G. We'll go to Window, Utilities, and Data Merge. And because this is a new document, we'll have to reselect our data source. Here it is, and we'll open that. And now, because we already had these set up, it'll automatically match them up to the ones from the spreadsheet. I'll click Create Merge Document. For records per document page, I'll choose multiple records, and then Preview. And we're only able to get 4 here because it's probably too wide. It'll go outside the margin here. So I'll go to Multiple Record Layout, and here we can change those margins. So I'll decrease the one on the left to the next one down, which is 0.375, and now the other 4 jump onto the page. I'll say OK, and our document has no overset text, which is good. But if yours does have overset text, go to this timestamp to learn how to fix it. Anyway, now we have a new document with 3 pages. So now I can zoom in and see my crop marks. And yes, everything looks good. Now I'll export this to PDF. Command E or Control E, and I'll call this business card multiple per page. This time I can choose just press quality because I don't have anything going off the edge, and then I'll export. And here we can see our 3-page document with all 19 business cards. And that's it. All right, I hope this video is helpful for you. If you liked it and you want to see more videos like this, just click on the subscribe button and the little bell next to it, and you'll be notified every time a new video comes out. All right, I'll see you in the next video. Thank you.